So the 5 mindfulness training is a very strong practice to help us to recognize our mind, to recognize our habit energy, to face our fear, to face our suffering, and to embrace, to understand, and to love. And that is why 5 mindfulness training is always said as the path of happiness and freedom with the insight of interbeing. Because the 5 mindfulness itself contain mindfulness, it contain concentration, it contain insight. If you want to experience this, you read the 5 mindfulness training and choose which part that you cannot do. And you try to practice it. And you will see that you need concentration and you need insight in order to transform the action. So this is the original sutra. It's from Upasaka Sutra from Madhyama Agama 128. And this is the sutra where the Buddha and Sariputra meet 500 people brought by Anathapindika to his monastery. And at that time, there's a question. There is a question like, what can make us happy in the present moment? So happy in the present moment here is to be free from habit energy, to be brave. And when I found this sutra, I feel so happy. And I compare it with our mindfulness training. It's very similar. And in fact, Thai used this sutra as a reference for us to practice the new mindfulness training. Because in many traditions of Buddhism, we only know the 5 mindfulness training as no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, and no drugs, something like that, a consumption, toxic consumption. It's too simple, that line. It's very difficult to understand. And when I read this sutra, I see that the Buddha gave a lot of explanation. So let us see the part that when he say, my student, the lay student of the Buddha, refrain from killing. So I hope the French translation can find that paragraph. So the paragraph after the 4 contemplations. So there is a question, Shariputra, how do lay students of the Buddha, those who wear the white robes, study and practice the 5 mindfulness training and the 4 contemplations? So this is the paragraph. Lay students of the Buddha refrain from killing, put an end to killing, rid themselves from all weapons, learn humility before others, learn humility in themselves, practice love and compassion, and protect all beings, even the smallest insects. They uproot from within themselves any intention to kill. In this way, lay students of the Buddha study and practice the first of the 5 mindfulness training. So it's quite complete. But this is at that time, 2,600 years ago. This line is very suitable. And nowadays we need to give more information. And let us read the version of the Plum Village one, the first mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating the insight of interbeing and compassion and learning ways to protect the life of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, in my way of life. Seeing that harmful action arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from dualistic and discriminative thinking. I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to view in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world. And this phrase, we make it in order to fit with the situation in our world right now. And probably in the future it will be longer and longer and longer. And hopefully if human being can transform from the Homo sapien into Homo conscious, maybe this training will be shortened, and at the end we don't need any more because we don't have any more violence, right? So this training is very alive and can change anytime according to the world. So the first mindfulness training we want to learn is because in this part of the mind, the manas, have the tendency of running away from suffering. And when we run away from suffering, when we suffer, we can be frustrated. And when we are frustrated, we can be violent. In the neuroscience, we call it fight or flight. We can fight, and it can be very violent. And that is why we need this training to be aware of the way we think, the way we speak, and the way we act. And the second training is the true happiness. It's the same because, as I explained before, this part of the mind, it lacks pleasant feeling. So we need to train ourselves to obtain pleasant feeling from the right source, to train ourselves to generate happiness and joy from the right source, so we don't get caught. Deep relaxation is a very good practice to generate happiness, to generate pleasant feeling, because there's nothing to do. You just need to lie down, feel your body, release all the tension. And the only way to release the tension is to find the tension, is to breathe with the tension. And that is your insight. I have tension in my body and I can release it. The third mindfulness training is about true love, how to love. And as we know, this part of the mind, our survival mind, is also the mind that wants to continue to the future. Every cell of our body wants to regenerate. And we ourselves, we also want to regenerate. And this is what we call sexual energy. Combined with the bad experience of being cut off, of being separated, of being lonely, that combination does not go very well. When we have a feeling of loneliness, being cut off, we don't feel affection, we don't feel intimacy because of our memory in the past, plus the volition to continue to the future. And as we know that I think all beings, including animals, plants, when they want to continue to the future, they have some sort of sexual activity in order to continue. So these two things, when they combine, then we can go to the direction of finding pleasure with the source that can caught us, that can imprison us, can make us addicted, and make us depend on the outside condition. And then we need to find affection from outside. We need to find intimacy from outside. And not only that, we are looking for intimacy from outside, but somehow the other person also looking for intimacy from outside. And these two people come together. None of them has contentment inside. Then I try to grasp you, and you try to grasp me, and there's nothing to grasp. It's empty. And that is why many partners, when they are together, they feel lonely. Because one person inside is empty, and the other one is also empty. And we feel like the one that we love is so close beside us, but we cannot grasp the person. We cannot feel the person. So this needs some practice to do that. So in this training, we encourage people, or every one of us who practice the third mindfulness training, we want to cultivate this true love, the connection love. So the first love is Maitri, which is friendship. When we have friendship, we feel connected. And then we can feel love, we can feel intimacy in the friendship. The second is Karuna, which is compassion, where we can connect with the suffering of ourselves and we feel care from ourselves. Like this morning, the guided meditation, we have care for myself. And that is the intimacy also. And if I can care for myself, I can also care for the other people. The third is joy. We want to offer joy. And if we can be joyful for ourselves, we can also be joyful for other people. If we keep judging ourselves that I'm not good enough, that I have to do more, and etc., then somehow you will do the same for other people. You're expecting what people should do, what people should behave. But so we try to love ourselves with joy, forgive ourselves, and then we can forgive others. And that is a very intimate connection. When you are forgiven and you can forgive, that is intimacy, very strong feeling. The fourth mindfulness training is about communication and to see how we communicate, because our communication may come from unwholesome emotion, a very strong emotion. When our emotion is very strong, our words can be also very strong. And sometimes our words can stab someone because it's so strong. And it makes someone's heart wounded with words. So this is the training that we want to train, to pay attention to our anger especially. When we have our anger, we don't speak. But it does not mean that I don't have the right to get angry. I still have the right to get angry. And I feel free to get angry, but don't speak. Taking care of it, feel it, allow the anger to process. Yeah. My experience in this is like when I stop my speech, the physical speech stops, but the mental speech continue. And I have to listen mindfully, deeply, without any interruption. I should not say myself, you should not say like this, you should not say like that. No, I just listen and allow every words come out. And the way I listen to it, I say, okay, tell me. And I can see that this is my violent. I can see that how violent is still there inside of me. So that violent words allow me to recognize that I still have that violent. Then I need to be careful. After this mind, after this, all the words finish, and then I can contemplate and reconcile. The fifth mindfulness training is about consumption. So in this, I think the next Dhamma talk on Sunday, we will talk about how we consume. There are 4 ways to consume, so I don't need to explain this today. Yeah. So please read the 5 mindfulness training and practice it with joy, not with grudge, not with fear, but with freedom. We don't need to be too quick to make a conclusion, to make that I'm successful or I'm failed. There's nothing failed, there's no successful. It's a path. When you walk on the path, you are not arrived, you are not starting, you are not finishing. You just walk. So there are 4 things that I would like to write down on the board. So when we practice the 5 mindfulness training, there are some area that we need to pay attention. So the first, so the 5 mindfulness training, we can say it as applied ethics, something that is doable, something that is practical. It's not theoretical, but practical. Probably now I cannot do it, but I can observe, oh, I have this habit for a certain years even sometime, until you can do it. So it is applied ethics. And when we practice the applied ethics, there are 4 stages that we can measure how is my practice. So when we practice the ethics, the first thing we need to practice is to know how to relax. Because every time we get in touch with violence, then we have also intensity inside of us, and we need to relax ourselves in order to practice the 5 mindfulness training. All injustice that's happening, when we get in touch with injustice, you directly feel violent. And that is something that we need to continue to train ourselves, to relax ourselves, so that we can practice the training. The second is to be able to face our strong emotion, to be able to calm ourselves down and face our strong emotion. So without this element, then it's very difficult to apply the 5 mindfulness training in our life. Yeah? And the third one is to experience so reconciliation and communication. How to keep the communication open and allow people to be different. And this is very difficult also. And the reconciliation, the first reconciliation is with ourselves, with our family, with our friends, with our habit. And then we can continue to the other people and how to keep this communication. Especially nowadays, everyone has their own thought and everyone wants their thought to be listened to. And somehow we compare our thought with the other people's thought. And then it creates this whole difficulty. Sometimes the communication can flow, some communication cannot flow. When it does not flow, we really need to be awake that there is differences and it's okay. Yeah, we have to stop there. It's okay. And the last one is we continuously cultivate this view of interbeing. The four wrong perception and discriminative mind is I am not you. And this is one of the source of suffering. I am not the tree, because I'm human, the tree is not. But in fact, you see that you breathe from the tree. You eat from vegetable. The animal makes fruit for you. The insects make fruits for us. You are made from animal. So this kind of wrong perception, we need to slowly also practice with that and to see the interconnectedness, that I am also you and you are also me. Can you imagine today I give Dharma talk with empty hall? It would be very unpleasant. Yeah. So you are me, and I am also you. That's why we have a connection. That's why this talk can continue. The second one that we need to pay attention is that we can say 5 mindfulness training is ethics, because 5 mindfulness training is the action that we want to train in order to bring happiness for oneself and for the world. And when we learn about all kind of ethics in the book of the Mindfulness Survival Kit, in that book we can see at least about 13 kind of ethics, way of thinking, to perform an action that bring happiness. So 5 mindfulness training is also a kind of ethics. But this ethics also contains spirituality, because these two things should not be separate. When we do something, we perform something, it is not because of rules. Let's say you choose you choose to be vegetarian or vegan. It is not because you have to. It has to come from inside because you understand why you do that. Otherwise, you become vegan or vegetarian, but your dream is only eat steak, for example. And then it does not fit anymore. Then you have suppression in your practice. So when we practice 5 mindfulness training, we want to train that we practice in a way that we have understanding and insight. So there is no suppression in the practice of the 5 mindfulness training. This is something that we have to all pay attention to if we have suppression. If we have, then we take that into our account, contemplate, practice, embrace and transform. The third is without dogma and rigidity. So we want to practice the 5 mindfulness training in the spirit of non-tradition, non-religion, and non-sectarian. And if our 5 mindfulness training is not enough free from religion, is not enough free from sectarian, is not enough free from something, then we have to change the 5 mindfulness training. We have to revise it. Because in Plum Village, the first revision is in 1985, and then we revised again in 2010, and now it's already 10 years, 20 years, 10 years. I suggest that 20 to 30 years we need to revise it again. Or we have to revise it quick enough because the world changing all the time. So it has to contain non-rigidity and non-dogmatic. Yeah. So we are not practicing deontology, that things only good in itself, and then you have to do it. Even you create suffering, you do it. Yeah. We have to combine all kind of ethics. We have to combine the deontology with the consequent, what do you call it? It's so difficult to say. Consequentialism. We have to combine all kind of view until we have no view in the practice, until we are free completely, no rigidity and no dogma. Collectivity. Does it make sense, this word, collectivity? Yeah. So when we practice the 5 mindfulness training, we want to be free from a separate self. We have to see in a bigger picture when we practice the 5 mindfulness training. It's not me who has the benefit, but my family also has the benefit. My country also have the benefit. My society also have the benefit. And the world also has the benefit. Because I'm not separate from my friends. I'm not separated from my family, from my society, from my country, from the world. They are all me. And we look deeply more. I'm not separated from the past generation. I'm not also separated from the future generation. So what I'm doing here now as a monk, I also know that if I practice as a monk and I'm happy as a monk, then I know that I bring something to the future generation. Then there will be a happy monk in the future also. Then there will be a happy practitioner also in the future, because now I'm creating the future generation. And as a Sangha, we know that we stay 3 months together and practice, not only us here, but also our friend at home. 1,000, more than 1,000 people, we practice that. That is the effect. We train. I don't know how many talks we have in this rain retreat. So many. And each talks water a different seeds inside of us. And when that seed's being touched, we change. We become very motivated to practice. We can transform a certain suffering inside of us. And that contributed to the collective in the world. Because the world really needs a group of people or more people to go against the stream. Because we don't want anymore to flow in the stream of discrimination. We don't want anymore to flow in the stream of separation. We don't want anymore to flow in the stream of violence. And that is why we come together and we make effort together. Yeah. But still, we are still on the path of violence, we are still on the path of discrimination, we are still on the path of separation. And this is something that we have to continue to be aware of, to be mindful of, and make sure we continue to walk on the path. The path itself is peace, joy, and freedom. Let us listen to one sound of the bell. So the applied ethics with the 4 stages, this is the 4 establishment of mindfulness. And we don't need to say this is the teaching of the Buddha, because we all have body and mind. And that is the requirement of the practice. As long as you have body, then we can practice the ethics. We can practice happiness. We can practice freedom. If you really want to explore more of the 5 mindfulness training, and we need to, there's this book. I read this book and I could not sleep because it's so interesting. And I cannot stop to read this book. So the Mindfulness Survival Kit. I think with this ethics, we are able to live together as human family in the world. Not as human family also, but as the earth family, so that we can protect ourselves, humanity, animal, plants, and the earth. That is a very big aspiration, and we really need energy to do that. That is not a promise, just a theoretical promise. It's an action. And in order to do that action, I think we have to really invoke all the Bodhisattva's name in order to be able to have that power. And we should not count on ourselves. We should practice with the Sangha, with the community. When you go back home from 3 months retreat, find a Sangha, create a Sangha. And those who are at home, those who has Dhamma sharing family, please keep your Dhamma sharing family. Don't be separated. And those who has not yet group of Dhamma sharing, and please look at our website. There is a directory Sangha. iamhome.org or .com, I forgot. .org, iamhome.org. So please find your Sangha over there. So that our practice can continue, because we know that this is a very big practice, and we know that we practice not for ourselves. Of course, first for ourselves, and then after that for many, many people and from the world. Our teachers say that mindfulness can help us survive and thrive, both as individuals and as human beings on this earth. So we encourage all of us to continue to practice, so that we can observe our affliction, our fear, our violence. Because in our mind we know that we have 2 things: the craving for pleasant feeling, and to run away or to fight with unpleasant feeling. And this is happening in the ignorant way. In Buddhism we call it 3 poisons: the ignorance, hatred, and craving. And all of us, we can embrace that three things, take care of that three things, and to transform it into love and compassion. When we have love and compassion, then even this three poison is not our enemy anymore, because we can take care of it. We have no fear of suffering. So, teachers, politicians, economists, activists, and many other people that contribute yourself to a bigger group of people, we need to practice. All of us in the world, wherever aspect of life you have, and we are on the path of changing the world into a better place, we need to practice the 5 mindfulness training in order to strive, in order to survive, because we need you. Because we want you to continue. We don't want to have more teachers to burn out. We don't want to have more activists to burn out. We don't want to have more politicians to burn out. And more important is we don't want the burnout parents also, because we want to take care of the children. Yeah. So as a human family, when we practice ethics, live in an ethical way, then we know we can contribute happiness for ourselves and for the others. And this ethics should have this element, can be applied, contains spirituality. Spirituality does not mean religion, it just means happiness, safe and free. And number 3 is without dogma and rigidity. I think this is very important. There is no success, there is no failure in the practice. And the last one is collectivity. We do it as the whole community. And this is something that Plum Village would like to contribute to the global spirituality and to the global ethics. As we know that the global ethics from the Parliament of the World Religion continue to explore what can we provide for the whole humanity, a path, an ethics that everyone can practice, that can contribute happiness to people, to themselves. And this is our contribution for us to practice, and we hope that all of us can continue our practice. And thank you for your listening, and then we would like to invite Brother Daofeng to come and to sing the last song for you. So this is some gatha that I combine, become one, and make it into a song. I don't know if it makes sense or not, but as we say in the practice, we need to have joy and be creative, like Sister Chai Nim shared in her talk, to be a warrior, to be a meditator, and also to be creative. I entrust myself to Mother Earth. I entrust myself. I entrust myself to Mother Earth. I entrust myself. And Mother Earth, entrusts herself to me, and Mother Earth, she entrusts herself to me. Mother Earth brings us to life and nourishes us. Mother Earth takes us back into her arms. We are born, we die, in every breath. We are born, we die, in every breath, in every breath, in every breath, in every breath, in every breath. Together, I entrust myself to the Mother. I entrust myself. I entrust myself to Mother. I entrust myself.